Billy, you seem to have completely mastered the fingerboard. What can you tell us about the shapes and the patterns you use to connect the neck up?
Well, I doubt if mastered is the word, but
oh, looks like it.
Stumbled upon some form of understanding of it. When I play a particular scale, like we touched on in the last video, I have certain patterns that I use, like for a G major scale. For me, when I play, again, to reiterate, when I play a pattern in one position, like for the in G major scale, like I did right there, I do all the notes that you can do in a G major scale in that position, which would also include this low F sharp, even though it isn't really part of that scale, just because it's contained in there, and it's a note that your finger can go to in that scale, so I do it. So actually a G major scale for me then would be...
Right.
So I get them all in there. So now, another type of scale, the only other type of scale that I know of actually is a pentatonic scale.
Well, wait a minute, though. You could get minor off the major. So.
Yeah, because it's major and minor I consider pretty much.
And you're pretty fluid with both sounds, major and minor, in your playing.
Well, that's pretty much because they're both really the same thing.
Right, so you can parlay that.
Yeah, just as a G major scale.
Right.
In G is a minor.
Exactly.
Is an E minor, a form of the E minor modes or scale.
Right.
You help me out with this.
So you have both facets of it contained in that scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the pentatonic is kind of major and minor free. It's kind of an oriental.
Right.
So what it is, actually, when I do it, I also try to do it all the way across the neck. So we're doing 2 notes per string.
Let me ask you, because it's a 5-note scale, that's why we're limited to basically 2 notes in the positions as opposed to 3.
Good point. Actually, I forgot all about that, but you're totally right. So now if you take part of that pattern, put it together, that's your G major chord. So if you're playing guitar and you had 2 extra strings there, it would be a for real G major chord. So now you know that is a pattern of a chord, and it's made up of those component notes. Now if you take the pattern that that chord makes, in this case we'll move this finger up to there.
Right.
Even that sounds rather dissonant. It is. It's a non-resolved something or other.
Well, it's a G with A in the bass.
Yeah, it's a G with A in the bass.
Needs resolution, though, you're right.
Yeah, right. New Year's resolution. Anyway, so there's a G major scale. Now if I take the top notes of that pattern, the bottom notes of the next position. Now here, there's
right.
So we're back up the octave. So what I'm doing there is I'm trying to show the top note of each position of a pentatonic scale makes a pattern, which in itself is a chord, basically.
Right, of some type.
Yeah, I see that I don't know the names of.
It could change depending on what's behind you, harmonically.
Yeah, so okay, that's your department, I guess.
Okay.
I'll just play it, you explain it. But the song that I did with Mr. Big called Had Enough.
Right.
When I was learning the modes on guitar, the E minor mode, it actually formed a chord by the lower parts of it. And when I strummed that chord, and I actually did all of the chords made up of that mode, it actually seemed to make a reasonable facsimile of kind of a song-y type of thing.
Okay, well, let's see what that's like on the guitar, if you wouldn't mind demonstrating that.
Yeah, hand me that little boy over there, and I'll see what we can do with it here. Anyway, the idea, when I was practicing guitar, learning a couple things to write some songs, and I write a lot on guitar, but which sounds like an Allman Brothers song, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It has that country flavor to it.
Anyway, so I noticed that that chord that made was part of all those notes there. So it actually became...
Yeah.
It became part of the...
So you derived those chords from the mode.
Right, so it's an E minor kind of mode. So that fits all any pattern. I always wonder how these jazz guys got these amazing
Uh-huh.
chords all over the place, because they understand scales so well
Exactly.
that they can put any configuration of notes together and come up with an amazing chord thing. So you see these jazz guys doing all these comping chord stuff, and I always wonder, how in the world did they ever learn all those chords? Well, they just basically know their stuff, and they know their scales, and they know their modes, and they know how to put them all together in lightning fast, and
And that relates exactly to what you're talking about, connecting all the shapes.
right. So what I'm doing basically is just like, so now if I take like a G major, the pentatonic version. So I know if I'm in G. All those.
Ah.
It's all in G. So if I'm playing in the key of G,